listening to everything, it just is running through my mind all the memories I have of Good Sam. When I came here, I was a freshly minted hospital administrator. I thought I knew everything. And I learned so much here from the management team, but from all of the people that were here. But my task today is to talk a little bit about the legacy and history of Good Samaritan, and to kind of reflect on the challenges that sum up of 116 years of service to this community. I think I'll begin with a reflection that says that the sisters did not come to Zanesville in 1900. Actually, the sisters came to Zanesville in 1892. We taught down at St. Nicholas for 8 or 10 years. So that when Dr. Sutton and Father Leininger decided they needed a hospital in town and they wanted some good nurses, they were told, you want good nurses? Find yourself some nuns. And so they went down to St. Nick's and tried to steal some of the sisters there. Of course, they were teachers. But so they wrote to Wisconsin. And the call to add nurses resonated with the changes that was happening among our sisters at the time. By 1900, the congregation had been in existence for about 30 years. We had about 250 women who sought to serve the church in whichever way the Lord called them. And so the impetus to serve in healthcare was emerging as a strong movement. In fact, we opened our first hospital in 1898 in Wisconsin. So in February of 1900, when the letter of request for sisters came to Sister Alexia Fulmer, Mother Alexia Fulmer, she responded positively. And the 5 sisters traveled from faraway Wisconsin by train and by buggy and by walking, and arrived here in May of 1900 to staff the Margaret Blue Sanitarium out on Wayne Avenue. And the sisters thought they had indeed obtained a windfall. The hospital was in great shape. It had all the modern conveniences of 1900. It was debt-free and had money in the bank. We were never in that position ever again. It had 6 rooms, 5 of which had 2 beds. So this was indeed an auspicious start, and was to become the cradle of our ministry here in Zanesville. But within a couple of months, we learned that the needs for healthcare far outgrew the facilities that we had. And so within 2 years, the sisters were planning to put an addition onto the Margaret Blue Sanitarium. But the Brush property became available up here on the terrace. It was closer to the city. It was high ground. It wouldn't flood out every spring, okay? And it was available. So we bought the Brush house and gave the Margaret Blue Sanitarium back to the Margaret Blue Trust. Why, we did some renovation, and by that time we had 25 patient rooms, and we could accommodate many, many more patients. So the Brush house became the home of our ministry and was named Good Samaritan Hospital. As I mentioned, there were only 5 sisters here, and they had to assume the responsibility for the ministry. They cooked and cleaned and nursed and grew vegetables. They did everything that was needed to be done to take care of our patients, and needless to say, they were exhausted. So in 1905, the sisters decided to open a nurses' training school at the hospital to help provide for well-trained nurses to assist in providing care. From the sounds of what Carol said, they cooked and cleaned and did everything else, and that was in the 1960s. The school provided thousands of excellent nurses to serve the hospitals and health care needs, not only just here in Zanesville, but throughout Ohio and throughout the United States. Good Sam nurses, as Carol said, were and remain the gold standard of nursing practice, known for their competence, their commitment, and their leadership. God has blessed us with so many wonderful partners in ministry, and these nurses were the first of our partners. While they were building the new nursing school, the patient load continued to grow as well. So within 2 years of 1903, they not only opened the school, but they also began building a new building. In 1905, the Brush House was abandoned in favor of a 100-bed hospital, which opened in that same year. The new building was once again the state-of-the-art facility with all of the amenities and advancement that were available at the time. It even had an elevator, which the sisters did not discover until after they had moved all the patients. We were a hard-working group. As we went on, we added the nursing school building in the dorm, the laundry, more beds in 54 and 67, and in the mid-70s, the new hospital had become the old hospital, and it was demolished to make room for support buildings to house the needs of the organization. And once again in 1985, we put in operating suites and radiology departments. So you see, I hope, that no one building has provided the home of our ministry here in Zanesville. Each era and new change called for change, growth, and renovation. In the early 1990s, conversations began between the boards and sponsors of the two hospitals in the community to find a way to collaborate and cooperate instead of compete, so that new services, such as open heart surgery, could come to this community. The creation of the Genesis Healthcare System in 1997 was unique in that the community and the sisters worked together to preserve the heritage of each institution, while recognizing the needs that the two needed to work together, and it was more important that we work together than we win.